All right, beautiful people, good morning and welcome to another episode of Math, Math, and More Math. Today we are going to continue talking about setting up and solving proportions. The only difference is now our proportions will not have percents. So we're going to talk about what will a proportion look like when there is not a percent over 100 involved, okay? So we are going to use 3 lines for these proportions, and we're going to use the rule called WKU, okay? So it goes in order, WKU. So W stands for words. The words are probably the most important part because they're going to tell us where to put stuff. Because remember, the hardest part of a proportion is actually deciding where do things go. So K actually stands for what do we know? What do we know? Okay? And then U is the unknown, meaning the question mark statement, okay? So normally what we know is 2 numbers together in the same sentence, and our unknown is 1 number by itself, all right? So words, what do we know, and our unknown, WKU. So let's open up our notes and start talking about proportions. So again, we are going to practice setting up a proportion, and we are going to use the rule WKU. All right, so this is a perfect example of a proportion problem. So it says if 4 folders cost $4.20, what was the cost of 1 folder? So remember, when we're finding 1, this is called unit rate, okay? And we've talked about that a little bit already. So let's set it up. So what were our words? So the easiest way to find your words is actually just to find your numbers and look at the word behind it. So I'm going to circle 4. For what? For folders, okay? And then I'm going to circle my other number. Well, in this case, there's no word behind it because it's money, okay? So I am going to use folders and money. And those are going to be my words. Easy peasy. I found my numbers, and that's my labels, okay? And again, one what? Folder. So what do I know? Well, remember, what you know is normally 2 numbers together. So these 2 numbers are right next to each other in the same phrase right here, right before the comma. So we have 4 folders and $4.20. So for what? For folders. So see how folders is on top? So I put 4 on top. And then how much? $4.20. Money's on bottom. $4.20. Okay, so then the question statement, the statement with the question mark, remember that's your unknown, that's going to be the 1. So we have to decide, does the 1 go on the top or the bottom? Well, 1 what? 1 folder. So there's folders, meaning 1 goes on top, which means what's missing is the bottom. So I would cross multiply just like normal. So this part is exactly the same. So I'm going to say 1 times 420. So I'm literally going to write 1 times 4.2. And that's, still just going to be 4.2 or 4.20. And then I'm going to divide by my 4. So I have 1 times 4.2 is 4.2. And we divide by 4. Remember, we stack them to see if we can cross off any zeros. We can't. So then it makes it easier for me to label. So I'm going to label, okay, there's my cowboy, and I'm able to divide. So I have 4.2. My cowboy can always have a decimal. That's fine. But my horse cannot, so I need to make sure, yep, it's a whole horse. We're good. I can write out my 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, so on. And then I can set my table if I need to. Okay, so can 4 people sit in 4 chairs? Yes, 1 time, right there. So subtract 4 and we get 0. Bring down the 2. Can 4 people sit in 2 chairs? No, so I need to put a 0. And then I need to eat a donut. Can 4 people sit in 20 chairs? Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and I zero out. So what was the cost of one folder? One folder would be $1.05 for one folder. Okay, and that is proportions with no percents. So let's try the next one. It says if two Snickers are two for $1.50, how much would 5 Snickers cost? Okay, so let's break down our problem. So first thing I'm going to look for are my numbers. Okay. And then I have to figure out what is the 2. 2 what? 2 Snickers. And remember, money is just money. So my labels will be Snickers and dollar bills, y'all. Okay. And then what do we know? Well, we know these two numbers together, right side by side, right before the comma. They're together in the statement. So how many Snickers? 2. I put 2 on top because that's where the word Snickers was. $1.50 is the money. Okay, again, you could just put $1.5 because the 0 is not really important. And then for the unknown, that's the question mark. So I find my question mark and I say, oh, there's my number with the question mark. 5 what? 5 Snickers. So is the 5 going to go on the top or the bottom? Well, where is Snickers? Snickers is on the top. So 5 goes on the top. And there's our X. And we're ready to, again, cross multiply. So we always leave our X outside. Remember, he was never good to us. So we have $1.50 times 5, or 1.5 times 5. And we're going to divide by 2. Okay, so 1.5 times 5. I don't know that on the top of my head, so I'm going to come up here and multiply it. Again, you don't need to use the 0, but you can if you want to. So 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. And then we have 1 decimal place. So my decimal will be there. So I have 7.5, but I'm not done. Remember, we need to divide by our 2. So when we divide by 2, we ask ourselves, can I eliminate any zeros? The answer is no, so I actually have to divide. So 7.5 is my cowboy. He can go inside. He can have a decimal. My 2 has to be whole, which it is. And hopefully we know our 2's. So we set the table for division, and we're ready. So can 2 people sit in 7 chairs? Yes. 3 times, that'll be 6. Take away, and you get 1. Bring down your 5. Can 2 people sit in 15 chairs? Yes. 7 times, that'll be 14. Take away, and you have 1 again. We're going to need to eat a donut, no remainders. Can 2 people sit in 10 chairs? Yes. 5 times. And we zero out. And so if I can buy 2 Snickers for $1.50, that means that I can, in fact, buy 5 Snickers for $3.75. So again, the biggest thing about proportions is staying organized, making sure your labels match with your numbers, and that what you know are the 2 numbers together in the sentence, and the question is the number by itself in the sentence. Okay, 2 more examples. If a truck can drive 300 miles on 1 tank of gas, how many miles can they drive on 3 tanks? Okay, so again, gonna break down my problem here, find my numbers. Okay, so I have 300. And that was miles, and then 1 is a tank. And so the question says, how many miles can they drive on 3 tanks? Okay, so this time I don't have my lines, but I know that when I read this problem, it is a proportion problem because they gave me 3 numbers, and when I look at those 3 numbers, I have 2 labels that match, so 1 tank and 3 tanks. When 2 of my word labels match, that normally indicates a proportion. So we have blank, equal sign, blank, equal sign, blank. So we have our words. Well, our words were 300 what? Miles. And 1 what? tank. So easiest way to find our words. And then from there, what do we know? Well, we know these two numbers because they're together in the same sentence before the question, before the comma. So 300 what miles? So miles is on top. So 300 will go on top. One what? One tank. Okay. And then our unknown is our question. Remember the number that's in the question mark statement. So 3 what? 3 tanks. So this time tanks is on the bottom and our unknown will be the miles. So I'm going to cross multiply. This time I go the other direction because x is over here now. So I have 300 times 3, and then I am going to divide by 1. So 300 times 3 is 900. And then 900 divided by 1. I don't have any zeros, but the good news is anything divided by 1 just equals that number. So remember, 900 over 1 is the same as 900, and that is 900 what? Miles. I knew it was miles because miles is the x. Okay, last example. Arnold has $20. He can buy 21 tokens for $6 at the arcade. At this rate, how many tokens can Arnold buy? So again, we're going to break down our problem. We're going to find our numbers. And I can see, okay, I have $20 that's by itself, right? There's a period, so that's by itself. And then I have 21 what? 21 tokens. And in that same sentence, $6. So it says, at this rate, how many tokens can Arnold buy? So again, 3 numbers, and 2 of my numbers have the same label, money. So that's a good indication that I'm going to set up a proportion. So I'm going to draw my proportion out. And I always start with my words to stay organized. So I have money, and I have tokens. Okay? And then I have to really think about this one because remember, what I know are the 2 numbers together. So does this number have another number with it? No, right? Everyone sees that period right there. So that number is actually by itself. So if it's by itself, it's actually going to go over here in the unknown. But these 2 numbers are together in the same sentence right here. The sentence starts here at he and ends right here at arcade. So these 2 numbers are together. They mean that's what we know. So 21 what? Tokens. 6 what? Dollars. And again, those were together. So our unknown is actually the $20. So will 20 go on the top or the bottom? Well, it's money. So where did I put money? I put it on top, which means my unknown is the bottom. So I'm going to cross multiply. 21 times 20. And then I'm going to divide by my extra 6. Well, I don't know 21 times 20, so I'm going to come over here and actually multiply that out. Okay, happy little turtle egg. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So that is going to be 420. And then once I multiply, I need to divide by 6. So I have 420 divided by 6. And again, I can't cross off any zeros. I'll stack it just to make sure. And I can label my cowboy and ready to set it up. So 420, boots, hat. 6 is outside. It's a whole horse. And I'm ready to divide. So can 6 people sit in 4 chairs? No. Can 6 people sit in 42 chairs? Yes. 7 times. That equals 42, and I'm at 0. Now, I have to ask myself, am I done? Well, no, because I have a 4, a 2, and a 0, and then my decimal. Okay? So I have not filled in all of my blanks to my decimal point. And so because I checked that, I know that I don't want to make a silly mistake. So I have to ask myself, can 6 people sit in 0 chairs? No. Now I'm done. So don't fall for the placement of that 0, okay? So we have 70 tokens if we spend $20. So our answer will be 70 And again, that's tokens. Remember, the words are the most important part. And that's proportions, guys. Go forth and math.